Welcome to the GATE video. Myself Rajalakshmi, Assistant Professor from Cybersecurity Department from SA Engineering College. Today GATE topic is Basis of IP Support Protocol in the Domain of Computer Networks. First of all, what is IP? That means Internet Protocol. Internet protocol is the set of rules. Protocol means generally we called as a set of rules. In Internet protocol means there is a set of rules that is used to deliver the data packets from a source to a destinations across the various network. In IP alone is not sufficient to deliver the data efficiently. We need for the mapping the address, we need to the reporting the errors, and at the same for a multicast management. In order to supporting these three, we need protocols for that we call termed as basics of IP supporting protocols. There are three major protocols in order to support IP. First one is ARP, second one is ICMP, and third one is DHCP. Generally in our computer networks, we all know the OSI layer. There are 7 layers in a OSI. For that, in data link layer, they use MAC addresses. So in MAC addresses used to establish and terminate connections between the two physically connected devices. For that we need a MAC addresses. In network layer we have a IP addresses. In order to IP addresses used to forward the data packets on a different routers. Why we use this data link layer and network layer in this protocol means in between this data link and a network layer, in between this we use a ARP. So ARP means Address Resolution Protocol. Address Resolution Protocol means is a procedure that connect an ever-changing internet protocol addresses to a fixed physical machine address, also known as a media access control address in a local area network. That means we generally called as a ARP means mapping the address, logical address into a physical address. Logical address is nothing but a IP address. That is in physical address is called as a MAC address. Why the ARP is important? The mapping procedure is much important in ARP. That means here mapping procedure in MAC address we use a IP version 4. Generally commonly we use a IPv4. So in IPv4 we use a 32 bits longer. Like the same in MAC address we use a 48 bits longer. So in order to convert the 32 bits into a 48 or a vice versa, we need a ARP. Here the process of ARP, how the ARP works. Here we need to know about a broadcast and a unicast. Here ARP request is broadcast. That means here the device A need a IP addresses for 123.10.20.2. In this IP address we need a MAC address. For that purpose ARP request send to the all the devices which is connected to in the router. That's why we called as a ARP request is a broadcast. That means one sender to all devices in the network. In getting the reply, ARP reply means it is a unicast. Which address, that means 123.10.20.2 is which devices, that is devices B. Here the ARP is reply from the MAC address ID. So here ARP request is broadcast and ARP reply is a unicast. Next important topic is ARP cache. Generally, cache is a temporary storage. Here, ARP cache means we have a temporary storage in order to list of the IP addresses which was mapping to the MAC addresses. Here, the ARP is used to find the MAC addresses that matches the IP addresses. Generally, ARP cache is a dynamic, but if you need it, it's in a static, means the user may configure it as a static table. And therefore, ARP cache size is also in a limited way because it is a temporary storage. It automatically free up the spaces. Why we are free up the spaces means in order to avoid the stolen of IP addresses from being stolen, or IP addresses in order to spoofy cyber attackers, while MAC addresses are fixed and IP addresses are constantly updated. If suppose the host doesn't know about the own IP address itself, means we need a RARP, that means reverse address resolution protocol, like the same ARP, that means ARP request, ARP reply. Like the same, we use a reverse ARP for the same. There is a unicast. Request is a broadcast and a reply is a unicast. Here we ask IP address instead of the MAC address in ARP. If without knowing the IP address, the host machine that does not know about the IP address, means here RARP is used. Next protocol is ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol. This protocol is mainly used in a network layer protocol in order to fix the issues in network communication. The main purpose of ICMP is error reporting. How it occurs means, for example, if a packet of data is too large in a router, that may happen for the data lost is occur. That time in destination, they reaches to the sender side for the data is drop the packet. Here, consider the example. There is a host A want to send the data to the host C, but here the data is disconnected, means here host C, that is in destination side, it reply the message host C is unreachable. In ICMP, the type of error is destination unreachable. Next one is types of error in ICMP. There are 4 types of error. First one is destination unreachable, second one is source quench, third one is time exceeded, and fourth one is parameter unintelligible. The first one is destination unreachable. Before itself we see that that means host C doesn't not connected, means the replying ICMP message is destination unreachable. The second one is the source quench. Source quench means if suppose the receiver too many unwanted packet, means the data will loss. So it replying from the destination side, the source quench. The message ICMP message we receive from the destination side as source quench. Third one is the time exceeded. Each packet contain a certain amount of time to live. If suppose it decreases or it tends to be a 0, means that time ICMP replied as a time exceeded. And last, parameter unintelligible. If suppose we send empty packets to the router, means that time the destination give back to the sender side as a message parameter unintelligible. What is the purpose of ICMP? Means the main purpose of ICMP is to reporting errors. The next one is it work as a diagnostic tool, and third one is it hurt network performance. At last protocol is DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It is a network protocol. It automatically gives a device an IP addresses and a network parameters without need for a manual configuration. In DHCP, we commonly called as a DORA process. That means discover, offer, request, acknowledgement. Here, the client send the request to discover I need an IP address to the server, and then second step, the server offering the parameters. Okay, I'm okay with your side. And the third, I have looked at you offer and I like it from the client side. DHCP request is sent to the server. At last, server acknowledgement and send the network parameters. The first gate question is, consider the following statements regarding ARP. S1, the destination MAC address of an ARP request is a unicast address. The destination MAC address of an ARP reply is a unicast address. Which of the following is correct? At a conclusion of this protocol, ARP means ARP request is a broadcast, ARP reply is a unicast. We have a strong knowledge about this ARP. So like here, they mentioned ARP request is a unicast. So here itself, the S1 statement is false. So by seeing these four options, which are this two is only a S1 is false. So automatically we neglect these two options. So comparatively, these two options, next one is ARP reply is a unicast address. Then this one S2 is a true. That means S1 is false and S2 is a true. So here an ARP request is a broadcast because the sender does not know the target MAC address, and ARP reply is sent, it's directly to the requester, so it is a unicast. And next gate question. Suppose that in an IP over Ethernet network, a machine X wishes to find the MAC address of another machine Y in its subnet. Which one of the following techniques can be used for this? So first of all, we want to identify the question. They ask X wishes to find the MAC address of the machine Y. So this comes under the part of ARP protocol. Here they want to confuse in the words of in its subnet. Its subnet means it automatically within that network area only. So here we no need to move on to the gateway. So first option, X sends an ARP request packet to the local gateway's IP address, which then find the MAC address of Y and sends to X. So next, X sends an ARP request packet to the local gateways of MAC address, which then find the MAC address of Y and sends to X. X sends an ARP request packet with the broadcast MAC address in its local subnet, and X sends an ARP request packet with a broadcast IP address in its local subnet. Here within the subnet means no need to proceed on a gateway's IP. So automatically first two options we eliminated. We want to discuss with the third and the fourth. Here ARP request packet with broadcast MAC address in its local subnet. So for this explanation, A host uses its own IP address and a network mask to decide if target IP address is in its own network or not. If in its own network means we want to just resolve the MAC address. So automatically option C is the answer. In ARP, there are two things we need to follow that for our gate questions. The first one is ARP means mapping the logical addresses into a physical addresses, and second thing is whether ARP reply or request it's a unicast or broadcast. We want to clear in about in the ARP to attend the gate questions. And last, which of this is not a type of error reporting message? So we have seen four types of error message: destination unreachable, and router error, time exceeded. But here source quench is Source quench, router error, time exceeded. Here router error is not comes under the part of ICMP types of error messages. In source quench means it's automatically overflow the data, means it get the signal ICMP from as a source quench. Destination unreachable means if the data is discarded means ICMP reply the message destination unreachable. If the time is exceeded means it comes under the part of the time exceeded, but router error is not comes under the part of error reporting message. Thank you. We will see in next GATE video.